Okay, so our next set of speakers are from the Developmental Disability Division, and they're going to be talking to you about eligibility process, employment, and not every kid qualifies for DDD, so they're going to talk about that as well. So we are proud and happy to welcome Stacy Heitsuka, Brandy Del Mundo, and Julie Humble. Take it away, ladies.
Let me get my one slide up here. Okay. All right, I am going to take just a minute here. I want to welcome everyone again. Good morning. I'm so happy that you're all here today to learn about the services that we provide. My name is Stacy Heitsuka. I work at the Hawaii Developmental Disabilities Division here at the Department of Health. I'm a member of the training unit. I'm here this morning with two of my colleagues, with Brandy Del Mundo from the Clinical and Eligibility Determination team, and Julie Humble from the Community Resources Branch. She works in the Housing and Employment Unit. We will share information about the Hawaii Developmental Disabilities Division. Sometimes people refer to our division as DDD. So if you hear that acronym DDD, they are referring to us. Our presentation will briefly describe how to access DDD services and provide an overview of DDD employment services and post-secondary supports. Just a really quick background about the DDD. We serve approximately 3,500 people across their lifespan. These are people who have a range of developmental and intellectual disabilities. We're funded primarily through the Medicaid 1950C waiver, and we include services such as residential supports. These could be like adult foster homes. We also have community learning navigation through community supports, personal assistance habitation, and consumer-directed services. So we have a lot of different services that we provide. To learn more about the services that we offer, you can scan the QR code that's on your screen. You can Google our website, and I'm also going to add our link into the chat in case that's an easier way for you to connect to our website. Okay, that's it for me. The next presenter is Brandy Del Mundo. She's going to share information about DDD's intake and eligibility process. She'll have a slide towards the end of her presentation with a list of contact information for our intake offices statewide. Thank you very much, Brandy.
Hi, I'm Brandy. I'm going to go ahead and share my slides. It is so nice to spend time with you today. Ooh. And it's starting in the middle of the presentation. My bad. Let me go ahead and scooch this back. Uh-oh. It is not scooching. It's like every presenter's nightmare right now. Oh no.
Maybe okay, you have to take it down and then put it right back up. Maybe that'll.
Yeah, you can stop share.
Yeah.
And then go to your presentation and go from the beginning and then go back and start sharing again.
I'll just reset.
Right. Let's do that. Thank you everyone for your patience.
The joys of a Zoom.
Oh my goodness, yes. And now it's acting up even more as my heart is palpitating. Oh dear.
It's all right. Julie, you want to talk a little bit about DDD and employment while Brandy's getting the slides up?
No problem. Thank you so much for having me today. My name is Julie Humble. I am obviously with the Department of Health Developmental Disabilities Division, our Community Resources Branch, and I am the Employment Program Specialist for DDD. And it's a pleasure to be with all of you today. So I will try on my end to share my screen with you all and to pull up my presentation.
Thanks for going first. I think it's sorted now for when you're done. Thank you.
Oh, okay, perfect. Okay, so I'm here today to talk about the employment services and post-secondary support that can be offered through our program and through the Medicaid waiver. So, for example, I just wanted to share with everyone today that Hawaii is an employment first state. So what that means is that Employment First is a national systems change framework centered on the premise that all individuals, including those individuals with the most significant disabilities, are capable of full participation in competitive integrated employment. This is also known as CIE, and community life. And here at DDD, we believe that employment in the general workforce should be the first and preferred option for individuals with disabilities receiving assistance from publicly funded systems. So the concept equal jobs for equal pay. So now I'm going to discuss how DDD puts into action employment first. So for example, we use person-centered planning. So with our program, we have case managers, and the case managers work with each participant, their family or caregiver, as well as other members of the participant circle of support. And that circle of support can include partner provider agencies, as well as the DOE IEP teams. It could be the DVR counselor. So whoever's important to that person and helping them to reach their goals, to assist participants in identifying their interests, goals, and plans for when they transition out of school. Based on the information gathered at a participant's annual individualized service plan meeting, a case manager will present the following service options to assist a participant on their path to employment. So, for example, when someone is just starting on their career path, and this may be your son or daughter or family member that's still in school, and they like the idea of working, but they're not quite sure where to start, we offer a service called Discovery and Career Planning, also known as DCP. And this is one-to-one support for participants 14 or older to develop skills and interests towards becoming employed for the first time. These are time-limited service. This is a time-limited service with the expectation that this will lead to employment in a competitive integrated setting. Service provided during non-school hours and not during vocational training provided by DVR. So that would be outside of the typical school day or any of the pre-employment services offered by DVR. But we do partner with everybody. So we all have that shared responsibility to work together as a team to support students who are transitioning and have that interest in working. So for example, Discovery and Career Planning Service can help to develop career goals and interests through career exploration. It can also help to identify skills and abilities, as well as training on how to interview for a job, support to participate in an internship, or job shadow at a business. And the ultimate goal of DCP service is to create a pathway to employment, and that is individualized, so that will look different for each student and participant. We also offer benefits planning because, as we all know, sometimes fear of someone losing their benefits can be a barrier to employment for individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Therefore, benefits planning is offered under this DCP service to prepare and help participants and their families understand the impact of earning income on their benefits, such as Social Security income or Social Security disability income. And then the other service that we offer here is Individualized Employment Service, known as IES. So this would be to help participants to gain access to and maintain competitive integrated employment in the community. So this service includes job coaching as well as a FADE plan because we want to help promote participants to be as independent as possible in the workforce. So this would include job development, which could be customized employment, job carving, and job coaching in a participant's place of employment in the community, and support to also implement accommodations that may be needed. So again, the IES support services that we have, we cannot duplicate or replicate services available to participants through DVR or DOE. But case managers can help to make a referral over to DVR if needed, if a student's not yet connected. And then also we offer post-secondary supports for students that may be interested in pursuing college upon graduation from school. And ways that we do that is we would help through other services like our community learning service. This is also where, for example, we could support a student to learn how to navigate a college campus, to learn how to access and request support provided by a college or university's Office for Student with Disabilities. This could be to request accommodations like note-taking, sign language interpretation, exam accommodations, and mobility assistance. And this is also support to learn how to use public transportation to get to and from the school or the college campus. And also for ongoing personal care assistance needed while attending school or college. We also have our personal assistance habilitation service, and that would be support for self-management skills development. For example, time management, self-advocacy. So examples of this would be help to create a weekly to-do list, to keep on top of school-related deadlines, learning how to ask for help when needed from a peer or professor, and also learning how to follow a daily schedule. And these are just examples, ways that these services can support a student that we offer. So that is all I have to share today, but please feel free to put any questions in the chat about how DDD can support you and your family member when they're interested in seeking employment.
All right. Thank you, Julie, for going. I am going to get this up and running. All right. So I am Brandy, the non-tech savvy worker here at DDD. I'm going to walk you through our intake and eligibility. We're going to be going over a little bit about who we are, who we serve. We're going to go over the criteria for eligibility. We're going to go over the process for intake. We're going to go over some other services that most people ask about or we utilize, and then some scenarios too for eligibility. So we are developmental disabilities, and we provide services to those with intellectual and developmental disabilities. So what is an intellectual disability? It's characterized by significant limitations in intellectual functioning and adaptive behaviors that show up during the development period, so before 18 years old. Adaptive behavior are those skills that really help someone be successful, to be independent, like personal care, social interaction, communication. An IQ for us in our department is about 55. So we support those who need the most support. For developmental disability, this is an umbrella term. So intellectual disability falls under this, as well as other neurological and genetic syndromes. Most common ones people know about: autism spectrum disorder, Down syndrome, cerebral palsy. These are severe chronic disabilities that can be cognitive, they can be physical, or they can be both. And they appear before someone's 22. So eligibility, hang in there with me. We have 4 pages of eligibility. You don't have to memorize it, don't worry. All of our eligibility is connected to our state laws, rules, and statutes. So we need to be a citizen, residing in Hawaii as a resident, meet the definition for an intellectual or developmental disability. It needs to be a severe chronic condition that meets that definition, where it's attributed to mental or physical impairments or combination, And again, intellectual disability shows up before 18 and developmental disabilities show up before 22. Some other criteria, we talked about adaptive behavior just a little bit ago, and these are the areas that help someone with skills and independence. So for our criteria, someone needs to have substantial functional limitations in at least 7 or 3 out of these 7 areas. And these are self-care, receptive and expressive language, learning, mobility, self-direction, capacity for independent living, and economic sufficiency. So we're looking at things like how someone does with their hygiene, how they communicate their needs and wishes, how people understand information, coordination, judgment, and work, like Julie talked about. And there are tests to be able to determine if someone has substantial limitations. Our intake workers can do what's called an ABIS, or sometimes in psychological evaluations, there's a Vineland. So there's testing to see if there's substantial need in these areas. And then it must be attributed, the needs must be attributed to the intellectual and/or developmental disability, likely to continue indefinitely, and supports are likely needed for an extended period of time or lifelong. So for our intake, we know that applying for services can feel overwhelming. You are not alone. So your first step is calling our amazing intake workers. You can ask your specific questions, share your situation, share what your hopes are. And if it feels like you want to move forward, it is voluntary. Then our intake worker will talk to you about documents that we'll need to collect for all that eligibility that we just shared. You're going to submit those. Those will look like maybe psychological evaluations, IEP reports, medical reports. You'll give them to your intake worker. Your intake worker will schedule a meeting with you, talk about what are you looking for, maybe some developmental milestones. How are things right now? Just gathering information so we can determine eligibility. And then sometimes we might need a couple more documents. So you'll work really closely with your intake worker who will let you know where you are every step of the way. We hope, just to keep the process going, that we get documents within 90 days, and then we make a determination of eligibility 30 days from when the documents come in. Often a whole lot sooner. We're really proud of that. With intake, it's never too early to apply. So feel free to apply whenever, and it is throughout anyone's lifespan. So there's never a wrong time to apply. So what happens after you apply? 2 pathways. One is you're eligible. We will pass you to a caseworker who will then work on the next steps, which is getting that Medicaid eligibility, which is connected to our waiver program. Or if not eligible, our intake workers will help referrals, so there is support. Can always appeal the decision, and you can always reapply in the future. Maybe there's more documents or there's a change with those adaptive needs, so can always apply again. So Medicaid has a big role in our services. We are funded, our waiver program is funded through Medicaid. But not everyone on our services is Medicaid eligible. So if you're not Medicaid eligible, there's case management, and case managers can help by attending transition meetings, IEP meetings. You can let them know what's coming up, and there might be some other services available that your caseworker will walk you through. So the big question, what do you offer? Julie did a great job talking about some of those areas. For our services, everything is individualized based on our participants' hopes, goals, wishes, supports, needs. So someone's plan might, a service package might look different from their sibling, their neighbor, their schoolmate. It's very individualized. And our services are setting based. So some might only be available in home, some might only be available in residential. And with Medicaid, we are supplemental. So we are supplementing family and formal supports. And especially during school age, Department of Education has a huge role between those hours of 8 and 2 and then health plans. So we are the supplemental component. What we have available is what we connect to what we call habilitation. So we believe people can accomplish a lot. So all of our services and programs are surrounded about helping people attain, keep, and improve skills and functioning of daily living. And these happen in the areas of living, of work, and playing and learning. So for living, there might be skills at home on working through hygiene, communicating needs. In the community, my favorite area, playing and learning. We want people to live the most enriching, full lives, right? And so being able to learn skills to make friends in adult day health centers or in the community, exploring hobbies, finding new hobbies, really being an active participant in our community uh, is always the goal. So a lot of information. We're going to go over some scenarios just to kind of see if someone might be eligible, not eligible, or we might need more information. So if you want to play along with our trivia, feel free to write your answers in the comments and we'll go over a few of these. So we've got Kate. Kate is 16 years old, diagnosed with Down syndrome at birth. On her recent psychological evaluation, her full scale IQ was 48, and she was diagnosed as having a moderate intellectual disability. An adaptive assessment completed with her parent as the respondent indicated substantial deficits in 2 areas. And that was, one was learning and one was capacity for independent living. So if you want to take a stab at it, is Kate eligible at this time? And if you said no, you're correct. So we're looking for substantial limitations in at least 3 areas. Now, Kate can always reapply. Things change, needs change, but at this time, she's not quite there. Okay, number 2, if you want to play along, we've got Sam. Sam is 17. His pediatrician diagnosed him with cerebral palsy shortly after birth. Adaptive assessments completed with Sam's parents and special education teacher as the respondents, and shared or found that he has substantial deficits in 3 areas: self-care, receptive and expressive language, and mobility. So is Sam eligible? If you guessed yes, yes, he's got a qualifying diagnosis that showed up during the developmental period, and he has substantial needs of support in 3 areas. Last one, this one's tricky. David. So David just left the education system. He is 23 and applying for services for the first time. Parents are finding it difficult to work and care for David and hope he can go to a day program. Recent psychological evaluation indicated a full-scale IQ of 46. An adaptive assessment completed and found deficits in 3 areas: learning, capacity for independent living, and economic self-sufficiency. This one's tricky. We would just need a little more information to know if the diagnosis, what the diagnosis is, and if it happened and showed up during that developmental period before 22. So again, a lot of information that you do not need to memorize. Our doorways are always open. Here are the numbers. We're sharing this information on slides. You can contact. And really, there's no wrong door. So call with your questions, your inquiries, staff your specific situation, share what you're hoping for, and we'll help you through the process. So thank you. And thank you for putting up with my tech lack of. Thank you.
No worries. Thank you, Brandy. Those were all great. And there are a couple, we have like 4 minutes before our next presentation. There's a couple of questions in the chat. Linda asks, who can we talk to about reviewing the standards for eligibility? Is there a quick answer to that one?
For the standards, they're state laws and statutes, so they're a little bigger than me. Stacy, I don't know if you know who to go through for the channels for that, or Julie.
I would suggest emailing. Oh, go ahead, Stacy, you go first.
Oh, it's okay. Go ahead.
I would think maybe the best place to start to get an answer to that question would be to send either one of us an email with your concerns or questions, and then we can find out exactly who we should direct that to.
Awesome. And Susan asked, are your employment services included in the Medicaid waiver? Because many students with IDD are not eligible for Medicaid because their family's income, but can become eligible for adults. So is the employment services included in the Medicaid waiver?
Amanda, would you I'm sorry, would you mind repeating that question? I missed the beginning.
Sure. It was a question of, are employment services included in Medicaid waiver? Because sometimes kids, when they're living with their families, their parents make too much money and they can't get Medicaid, but then they become Medicaid eligible as adults. So is employment services included in the waiver?
Yes, employment services, including the discovery and career planning, they are part of our Medicaid waiver services, but they are also available through our laser funding. And I think, Brandy, you touched on that a bit in your presentation. So again, reach out to any one of us. Here we put our contact information. And if you are connected to your DDD case manager, you can always reach out to them as well, or reach out to one of us for more information. Thank you.